Welcome to the Esports Report. This is your host, Will Nix, and his co-host, Ashley Hodge.
Welcome to the Esports Report, episode 2, season 1. I'm your host, Ashley Hodge, with my co-host,
Will Nix. How's it going, folks? 2 episodes.
And hopefully we've learned a little bit more. Well, I've learned a little bit more about audio, and we sound just a teeny weeny a little bit better.
Shots being fired across the bow today. I don't know what it is with my co-host, but she's got an uppity on me, people. Uppity. Oh boy. How are you doing, Ashley?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
Long school day, but doing good. Doing good.
It is. Man, I wish I could just podcast full time.
Yes.
Not that I don't like my job. It's just
I love my job.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And so, Ashley, what are we talking about today?
All right. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of things. Number one, we're going to define what we think esports is.
Oh, I like it.
Number 2, we're going to talk about how to start your program at your school right now.
Hey, I don't know about you, but I think we've got some of the best of the business about starting programs because we've done it.
I've done it twice. Times. And then number 3, we're going to talk about how you coach each of the individual games.
There we go. Maybe you can give me some tips on how to coach League of Legends.
And you can give me tips on Rocket League.
There we go. Welcome back, folks. Hey, we're going to talk about what is esports. What is its definition? Ashley, give me your definition of esports.
Hey, I think any esports should be a competition between teams. It should be a team-based game.
Amen. I think that is the fundamental of it. If not, it's just a head-to-head video game competition to me. If you're not working together in a group, I guess that's kind of the old coach in me, where I don't like individual sports and I like it where a team has to compete. So yeah, I agree with you 100% on that definition.
I will say that is changing based on game companies.
Yes, I'm seeing that too.
I know a couple of the games that we offer, Smash. Smash is single player, but with Play Versus, you have to register as teams of 3, right. Even though it's never like 3v3, it's always 1v1. It's 3
1v1s, and it's a best of 3 competition. And I think it's a plus and a minus to it. The fact that you just can't have the one dominant player who, goes through and owns the season. So it has to have a little more balance with teamwork. But at the same time, I think I would have preferred, and again, this is my preferral, would be if it was Smash 2v2.
I think the kids would have a lot more fun.
And I think it would also add more strategy and, and tactics where you get one who's more defensive. You get more of an aerial player. You get someone who's, your ground and pounder. I think it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and they also did Madden and FIFA that way. It was 1v1. And,
yes.
I was at the state championship this year, and they had FIFA, but they didn't have Madden. And it was just 2 kids like sitting across from each other on a PS4, just 1v1ing.
My question would be then why? If why do that way when the game itself, and again, they have their reasons, and please do not think this is a bashing and play. Yes, this is something we just like to see an improvement of. Why, when Madden and FIFA both have multiplayer settings that are really easy to implement for competition?
Yeah, I agree. It's not that we're trying to bash any company. It's just with esports, especially for high school, team-based games is where it's at.
And also, I think it takes away from the toxic atmosphere that can develop in a 1v1 match.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I will say, I don't know if your school participates in the youth leagues that are in Play Versus. They offer Overwatch and Fortnite. And if you look into Fortnite, they do have a solo queues that you
Right.
can play in.
Right. And we've looked at them, but we've not really got them started yet. And I think that kind of leads to what, our next subject is how to build a team.
And then a future topic could be how to improve that team and control the toxicity in that team.
We'll get into player toxicity later because that's a whole nother segment for a whole nother day. Heck, we can't even stop being toxic to each other, much less tell people how to keep their kids from being toxic. Oh my.
True.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about building programs. Now, actually, you've got a little more experience. You've built 2 programs. I'm correct?
One big and one small. Okay, so when I first started out in esports in 2017, I was at a very, very large school, kind of close to Florida.
Okay.
And the support once we got the ball rolling was unbelievable. So what happened is, I get an email from the AD, I apply for the job, I go in front of the board, we get it approved. Okay, so we're approved. So the next step for me is to host a meeting to figure out, okay, how many kids are interested in this program. So I made an announcement and 400 students showed up.
Holy cow.
I was not prepared for that. Like I had to get a microphone, and we originally were going to be in the media center and there were too many of them and I had to move to the lunchroom.
That's wow. Yeah.
It was huge. There were so
that was only one game. I mean, that's only League of Legends, right?
Mm-hmm. That was when it was just League of Legends, right?
Wow, that's a lot of kids.
It was insane. So what happened after that is, some of them got weeded out because of the GHSA athletic student standards. Like you have to be in all your classes, you have to have so many credits. So that kind of weeded them out to about 134. And after they figured out like that I wasn't going to play Call of Duty or offer that, it dwindled to about 75 my first year.
That's still a ton of League of Legends players. 25. What? Okay, I'm bad at math, but 15 teams, right? 15 teams. I mean, yes. What you would end up having. Yeah, that's crazy.
We flooded the play versus ladder.
I think you got Adrian a raise, is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing Adrian got a raise from you. I had a different experience. We didn't have any issue with getting started, things like that. They'd advertised it, and I was of course going to be doing it. But what's really funny is that it's League of Legends, and I just advertised that we're doing esports League of Legends, and I maybe have had 15 kids show up, barely interested because of League of Legends, and then I had a couple of hardcore League of Legends players come in, and so we were decent. But it was so interesting, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and of course, the question I got asked all the time. Well, are we going to do Apex Legend? Are we going to do Fortnite? Mr. Nix, this is Call of Duty. I'm like,
yeah,
no, it's League of Legends.
Yeah. Oh, I will tell you also, I got parents involved, like in my program, very, very early. Like after the meeting, after the kids signed up, I hosted a parent night. I got a co-coach, Bobby Stinson. He helped me. Nice. And we just kind of talked to the parents and kind of addressed their concerns. And that was really key, is make sure that you get parents on board, because without parents, you're not going to have a program.
That and with coming along with parents, make sure you have your technology team on board. IT department is your worst enemy or best friend, depending on this. And so if you really, some schools I know of, others out there that they've got entire labs dedicated to esports and Forsyth County, and other stuff like that. Well, some of us, like I did, I mean, it's not that my IT department was supported, just didn't have the money. I had to go and get gaming computers, and God bless the fastest dog and certain families of mine who donated 5 top of the line gaming PCs.
Now, I will say for our gaming PCs, I got very lucky. One of the students who was on the esports team, his dad was on the board of education and was like very supportive of esports.
Oh,
So,
I'm jealous.
so what we did is we actually had CTAE business labs. That's where I was.
Right.
I had 4 of those, and they were all full of esports students at the end of the day.
Wow.
And so we updated those computers. So we got top of the line gaming PCs, but they doubled as computers that the business labs would use. So it worked.
That's what my system has done, is that we have I joined the CTA department right when I started doing esports, and my department chairs, my CTA director has been very kind and we have ordered me several PCs that way, and they double because I use them as teaching PCs during the day, and I have them gaming PCs in the evening, and I'm slowly getting up there. I don't want to make my system sound unsupportive. We just didn't have the money at the time because we started immediately into esports.
Mhm.
So over the time, I had 5 computers donated. I now have 10, and we're building. So
Right. So if you're trying to get gaming PCs, a good idea is to have them double as like
yes.
class PCs that you could use for like graphic design, computer science, or in my case, I teach audio and film at my new school.
High-end PCs. Yep, very high-end.
We need those for editing.
And a warning to coaches out there: when you're building a program, if your school is Mac based, you're going to have some issues. I have a friend, I'm not going to say where the county he's from, but another fellow North Georgia teacher they had great Mac labs. I mean, great. We both of us can tell you editing and audiovisual on Mac is a lot better when it comes to editing. So yeah, gaming, not so much. When I play Rocket League or League of Legends, one of those can be pretty hard.
Yeah, they're not supported like that well on the Mac, are they?
No, they're really not. And it's not Play VS, it's not even the companies, it's the games. The games are not, because the market's not there. Let's just be honest. Apple hasn't really pushed, their PCs are gamers, which is fun, fantastically crazy to me because their PCs are powerful machines. So I just think it's a matter of conflicting OSs and stuff like that. So,
and I would also say that, well, before the pandemic and the the chip shortage that we're now facing,
yes,
PCs were just cheaper. Like Windows PCs were just cheaper than
yes.
Macs.
Yes.
And so, for a school that's on a budget, kind of like my new program, you want to get the most bang for your buck. So, you want to go with something that's not as high end as a Mac, because a Mac's not going to help you with gaming.
Right. And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just, one of those things that thought just pops in your head and want to share it. And honestly, if I was a coach starting today with all the selection of games, I would probably steer my program away from any of the PC games right now because of the chip shortage issue. Because getting your hands on, like, your students probably own Switches and PS4s, etc., and they may not own a good gaming PC, so they could bring in those. And if you work well with your department, like my IT department set us up our own gaming network, so that way they could track and we would know who was on and when it was, and I could control those aspects. And they were really good about that. And so my kids could bring in their own equipment and protect our network. And I think in a future episode is getting some of our IT people to be interviewed about some of their concerns about this. Because I know some school systems didn't join esports and haven't joined esports because they have network concerns.
And we can talk about that. Like, one of the biggest network concerns is Discord.
Yes.
With schools. And, if you're a gamer, that's how you primarily communicate when you're playing multiplayer games. And for a while, Discord was the only way that coaches and students could communicate. But now we have the in-chat feature on the website, which is amazing.
Okay, Play VS, just give us some applause, Ashley. I mean, building that in-game chat was a game changer for coaches when it comes to communication. Because I couldn't get on Discord, and I trust my IT people saying, "Hey, we could do it, but it would be a real nightmare for us. Could you work around it?" And I did. Texting, Google Docs, emails. I mean, you name it.
Calling.
Calling. Oh, yeah, you and I on the phone with each other. What's wrong? I don't know. So.
Kids talking to you at the same time when you're like,
oh my gosh, you yelled at by a kid.
What's going on? And they're just like, I'm like, stop.
No, stop. So 100%. So thank you, PlayVS. I don't, I'm that was a game changer for me because any issue really could quickly be resolved. Let's say matchmaking didn't work. Hey, I'm creating a private match. Hey, the code didn't work. Creating a private match. I mean, just able to instantly communicate with that with multiple coaches, and sometimes with a PlayVS rep on as well during the playoffs. That was extraordinarily helpful.
Yes, because in previous seasons, you just didn't have that. So if you couldn't communicate via Discord, you called or emailed or texted and kind of hoped that somebody would pick up.
And if you're hopefully your phone hadn't been spammed, so you're showing up as blocked on the other end, and all the fun stuff.
Yeah. So I can tell you also about my new program that I started. So I went from this really big giant program to this very like teeny tiny small program. So I've kind of had experience, with both, like a big program and a small program.
Right.
So the small program is not funded like the big program was.
Right.
Well, we self-fund. And I do that I do charge the students to help pay for those fees to
player fee. Yeah.
So I charge like 25 per student because it's just not a well-funded school. We're a Title I school. And for those of you who are not in education, who don't know, what that means, it just means it's like a high poverty area. Yes. And, most schools in Georgia
are Title I.
Our Title I schools. We qualify for that funding. So, and there's nothing wrong with being a Title I school.
No, many school systems are. And I think really, I think PlayVS has been really good about helping students in our schools when we have issues. Again, shout out to Adrian, who helped me out for a couple of seasons, knowing that I had, my small school was trying to get started up and I was self-funded, and really did help me out a good bit. Adrian Risley, I wouldn't be where I was as a coach if it wasn't for Adrian, because we'd have been dead on the water if he hadn't stepped in and helped us a couple of times.
Yeah, so I will say if you're kind of a small program like the one I'm in now, you might need to charge your students. Now it is $64 per kid to play, but you might not need to charge them all of that because PlayVS has different like pricing tiered systems now.
And not just that, also thankfully they also offer a two free to play options.
Free play options now.
Yeah, Rocket League. And what's the other one? I'm blanking completely.
See, I thought it was just Rocket League.
It's GHC Rocket League is the only free one. That's right. So I think that's, if you're starting up a program, I would do that. I would use Rocket League and build your program from there. Raise your funds. I worked the concessions at football games. I've raffled. I have fundraised. I've gotten donations. Shout out to one of my sponsors for my team, Woodland Life Insurance. His son is on our team, Mr. Garner, and he paid for our jerseys this year. So, I've gone out and again, Fastest Dog donated almost $25,000 in equipment and jerseys and stuff like that. It doesn't hurt to ask. You'll be amazed who will say yes.
Like reach out to companies because they want to get their foot in the door when it comes to esports. Like we had a local sponsor, Soul Poly. I did some film work for them over the summer and they donated, to the program. So we're actually working on jerseys. They're this icon, not icon, but the symbol that you see behind us, the esports report. I have that as a shirt design for my kids, and we're going to attach that with DCHS on it to a logo. Not a logo, but to a shirt. And that's going to be our jerseys.
Yeah, my guys designed a hoodie that we're using this year, and I was very proud. They got this new dragon design because that's our mascot. I'm not going into school names. We're trying to avoid all that as much as possible, but and it's not shame or anything. It's just keeping things private. Yeah. So what I find fascinating is when the kids really get involved with that process. They want to look good, and when you build a program, the other benefit, and this is easy to sell to your ADs on this, no bus cost. We don't travel.
No traveling.
No bus time. And as an old coach, as an old man breaking down over here, I hate riding that bus. I hate riding that bus.
It's so nice to not have to travel. The only The only time you would travel is if you're in the state championship. And let's face it, right now, as things stands, those are only going to be Atlanta schools.
I don't know. I'm just telling you, this guy isn't wearing them right now, but he got a couple of rings. I have beat the mighty Forsyth County. So.
Yeah, so no travel. Trying to think what else. When you're building a program, in order like to help you secure funding, like having a social media presence also is a very good
Yes.
thing, like a Twitter, a Facebook,
and
Instagram,
Instagram.
TikTok.
Yep.
Like you really want to like target specific groups so you can like raise awareness to your program and get that funding.
And make sure you keep control of it. Do not trust a player or an athlete.
Mhm.
You would think there'd be a common sense thing, but I've run into coaches who have had that issue, and I'm going, careful. And also, guys, a heads up, we will have a guest hopefully here pretty soon to kind of go into these rules a little more, but careful with Twitch. Careful with Twitch and professionalism. So.
Yeah, in another episode, we are going to like dissect the bylaws for GHSA for esports, just so everybody kind of knows what those are. But especially with Twitch and students trying to like gain revenue outside of the esports games, like you need to be aware of what those rules are.
Right. And again, what's really fascinating about esports is that we do fall under most of the regular GHSA rules. We are not a club. We're not some local rec thing. We are a GHSA high school NFHS recognized sport, not activity, not practice, sport. And I think when I was building my program, that was the hardest thing to get across to people, that this is not something we're just doing for fun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, I enjoy playing League of Legends. Okay, but are you good?
I enjoy winning.
I like to win. You know what's fun to me is winning. And I, starting my program with Rocket League in the second season, did not realize how good my guys were, because there wasn't that many teams out there. There wasn't a lot of stuff going on. So we went from like just treating it like, oh, look, we're playing, to, oh my gosh, we're about to win our first state championship in school history in 45 years. So yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, that when I first started my program at my large school, I just, I had to attend like a bunch of coaches meetings, and
I did too.
Just get ragged on by the other coaches because they're like, why are you here? You're not a sport, you're a club. And I'm like, literally, it says sport in the name of what I'm doing. Yeah. Electronic
sport. Well, I guess because I was already a coach, and I got jokes too. I mean, my best friend Tony, shout out to you, man, would give me so much grief about it not being an actual sport, but he recognized it for the skill level, because sadly I lost my mother during season 2, or season 1, excuse me. It was after official season 0. And he stepped in and covered for me a couple of times, along with another parent friend, Christy Hobgood. And they saw that they couldn't play these. It wasn't like video games when I was a kid. We all have that mindset that, these are just video games. I can't play Rocket League like my boys and girls play Rocket League or Smash or anything like. It's a whole nother skill set.
I was going to say, I can hold my own with League of Legends against these scrubs.
Yes, I maybe a little bit, but if there were some different games, maybe. If it was Madden, I got these guys all day long. So, but no, not Rocket League. I get dizzy. I get dizzy. I did. So.
There's more involved with video games now, like playing it and being successful at it, than what I think people realize. So I think that's a good segue to kind of talk about how do you coach? How do you coach these kind of games?
And honestly, this is going to be just the shallow end of the pool when it comes to how to do this. There's so much to it that it's really hard to do it all in one little segment. So we're going to start off with what we feel like we're good at. And I'm going to talk about Rocket League. My team has had success at Rocket League. We've won a couple state titles. We're very competitive. And a lot of it is the fact that I've just got great guys and girls that are dedicated to the program. But the biggest thing that I can say about coaching Rocket League is I had one benefit that most esports coaches didn't have, is that I came from a soccer and basketball background, mostly soccer. And so I treated it like I was coaching soccer, because Rocket League is soccer, hockey, and basketball all twisted into one electronic video game with remote control cars. So it was really interesting to teach those strategies, triangling, looking out, crashing the net. The verbiage came naturally to me. And so if I can tell anyone anything about coaching Rocket League, is to treat it like it is the sport that it is virtually. It is soccer and hockey and basketball. Think of those aspects, and coaching will come a lot easier too. Forming a team will come a great deal easier too, because that is difficult.
Yeah, figuring out who works well with who, because students are going to want to play with their friends, but
Yes.
we're not here to play with friends. That's a club.
No.
We're here to win.
We're
So,
here to win.
students will get mad at you for that, but you have to make them understand that this is a sport, and you don't put like a third string person on the field.
And you got to
football, you
also
wanna win.
And you also have to take into consideration their feelings, though, because I agree. You and I are 100% on the same page. I just know that if you try to force them to play with someone that they're not going to enjoy, their performance naturally just goes down.
Mhm.
Gamers, you don't placate to them, but you let them let them think they're making decisions. So it's like, hey, we want so and so to play with us. I'm like, really? Is that what you're thinking? Tell me why. And just kind of building that relationship with your players, especially, that's what I've noticed.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really have a coaching background. I have the gamer, like the competitive gamer background.
That's an advantage. That's an advantage too.
So, when I first started, it's like, well, I knew how to play League of Legends, but I was thinking, okay, how do I teach kids who have never played that before?
Right.
And the tutorial in League of Legends is nothing like a real match. It became a running meme in one of my programs. We actually printed it on a shirt when a student like got in a real match, and they said that this is not like the tutorial, and we all died laughing.
Yes, we've done that too. Yes.
Yeah, so Rocket League, I didn't really know as much. Like I knew how to help students communicate better. I taught them about different rotations, and we learned that by watching professionals play and dissecting what they did. And then when we did our matches, we would record them, and then we would watch them and talk about what went well and what went wrong. And I did that for Rocket League and League of Legends.
Good work. We did some of that with League of Legends, and we did a lot of that with Rocket League. I mean, we also would get a hold of our competitive matches. I would scout. I would be on RL Tracker. We would be on Ball Chaser. I would know the player we were playing against by the end of the day better than the kid knew himself, because my kids would, he's won this many matches. He's played against this person. We know he's played against X. I mean, breaking it down. Like, he uses too much boost when he's going around the left rotation. It's okay, guys. Yeah, I felt like I was back coaching soccer. It's like my guys are giving me a breakdown, and I'm learning the lingo, and I'm like, yep, all right, I'm watching. I know what you're talking about now. Let's do it. It was so much fun. I think that's what I loved about it. It was, again, it reminded me of my soccer coach days, but I was learning so much more from them about this, because even though I was a good gamer, I had never played Rocket League, so I had to learn what the basics were. And so it was fascinating how much I was learning from my students, and how willing and engaged that they were. Now, League of Legends,
that's my area of expertise.
I can tell you the one thing that matters as a coach: rankings, playing ranked matches.
Mm-hmm.
Did you run into that problem where your students didn't play ranked matches ever?
Yeah, and I didn't understand that, because I'm like, listen, you need to play against other people who are working as a cohesive team, not with a bunch of randos in like normal or flex or whatever.
Flex.
You need to play ranked matches. And they just didn't want to, because they said it was too much pressure. But I'm like, it's gonna simulate what game day is.
Yeah, it's the same pressure you're gonna get every match. And you could, I don't know, I'm sure you could too. You knew teams that just played random matches, and then you played teams who only played ranked matches. Shout out to some of the state champions out there. It's night and day.
Oh yeah, the skill difference between teams who play ranked matches or who play together outside of practice is
Right.
vastly different. And that was a problem I had with my students. Like after practice, I'm
Yes.
like, for first, there's only so many hours in the week that we can practice, and it's not enough. Like if you want to be good at League of Legends, you are eating, breathing, and living that. So I told
Eight
them,
8 hours a day at
yeah,
least.
you
I
have to
mean,
play together outside of when we practice. And
right.
it took them a while to figure that out. But once they did, they realized, oh, if we play together, then our teamwork will get better versus if we all just play solo and then come together on match day and just mess it up and start yelling and screaming at each other because we can't work together.
Well, it's just fascinating to me because with Rocket League, my guys naturally started playing together more, and they had so many hours outside of that they were playing. My Rocket League guys were putting in, 1,000 to 3,000 hours. Had already had that many hours coming into the season, and then my League of Legends guys, we play on the weekends. We get over at Steve's house, and we do a LAN. I'm like, and then I've got my one competitive kid who's a plat. They're going, get over here and make them a team.
Yeah. I mean, League is definitely a team-based game. Now, if
Yes.
you if you have a couple of platinums, they can carry a team.
Yes,
But
yes. Shout out to David. David, still
if
appreciate you.
if you have like a weak link in a League of Legends team, there
It's
is
over.
almost a guarantee it's going to be over. It's going to snowball very quickly within like the first 10 to 15 minutes.
So let's play a little joking. Where do you hide your weak links when you've had one on your League of Legends team? Where do you put them?
They become a sub.
Sub. You don't have a support.
Hey,
you're
now
not
listen,
quite.
I started playing as support. Support is not an easy role,
Yeah,
son.
no, I'm teasing. I had to throw the joke out there. No, honestly, I've hit mine in top lane. I've had some weak players, and it's like,
Yeah, top lane is a pretty safe bet for weak players because honestly,
yeah,
there's not a whole lot going on at top. You're just trying to like
nope,
hang on to your towers and
towers.
team fights happen. And then if you're the tank, you're kind of trying to soak up the damage.
Yep. And so you had them up there. I this. A mid can make or break your match.
The
And if you've
junglers
got
do.
the jungler too, if you've got a mid and a jungler who are both strong players, you're gonna overtake teams with 3 or 4 mediocre players quickly. You may have a couple of weak links, but you've got that mid laner and that bottom laner and a jungler. You're gonna win matches that you're not supposed to.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're starting out and you're trying to do League of Legends, you need to make sure that you have a strong jungle, mid, and ADC.
Yep.
Um,
And with ADCs, if they can't hold the lane, then move them. It's time to move them.
I've had kids who were like, I'm an ADC, I want to be an ADC, and then they just get destroyed. And then it's like, you can't be feeding the enemy team and be an ADC. You have to be guaranteed getting kills, or you're just gonna like snowball the game. It's
right. Well, it's like your top laner who feeds, and you're just going, what are you doing to me? You just their top laner now is coming down and eating the mid for breakfast. I mean,
nom 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 nom.
yes, and a support who doesn't know how to support, doesn't know how to stay back, doesn't know how. I mean, we can all go through the problems that we've had as coaches, in these different sports.
I would say with League of Legends is hard because it's multi-layered. If you have a group of kids that's interested, have them watch professional gamers, have them watch people on YouTube and learn that way, have them watch and then have them run drills. Cause that's what we did. When we practiced, it was Monday practice, Tuesday was game day, Wednesday, we would kind of analyze what we did. And then Thursday, Friday would be drill day where each like lane would work on a specific drill.
Right. I instituted where we had like you said a skill day, drill day, and then I would have a ranked match day where we're going to sit and just play ranked matches together, and we're coaching through it. I've got it on the big screen. I'm like, okay, guys, where are we losing? And no point right here. Everybody circle it up. Let's go to it. And we watched a lot, honestly. For season 2, we watched a lot of the state championships from Georgia. I mean, that was some good matches in that first season. I mean, they all have been good. Don't get me wrong, but I just remember because I was there how strong those matches were.
And if you get the opportunity to go to a state championship, you definitely should. It's very fun. Like
It's a lot of fun.
It's definitely an experience. I recently went to the one that was at West Georgia, and it was an amazing facility. They did it on their basketball court, but the gigantic jumbotron screen.
Awesome.
They were showing you the matches like on that screen. It was incredible. It was
That's
great.
really cool. Fun little side note, Ashley and I met at each other at a state championship.
I told him to get off the stage.
Get off the stage. I would like to say now, I was polite to you, and two, there was no rule about me being on that stage. And Play VS was making up a rule as they went.
I will also say I was extremely polite to you.
You extraordinarily polite. You were like, I don't want to be saying this. And I was like, I don't want to say anything back. We were both like trying to be polite. She knew I was tense, like in the middle of a state championship match. And I will argue this. I had, not for me, I'm talking about all coaches have a right to be behind the screen. If we're coaches, we should be behind our players.
And I don't, like you said, I don't think that's a rule. I haven't read that anywhere, but in that state championship.
Oh yeah, they wanted me off the stage because I was messing up the shot. I'll be honest, I know.
What was funny at West Georgia, there was not a stage to get on.
Right.
So.
And that's what I'm saying. But again, shout out to, is it Mount DeSales that hosted, right? That was Mount DeSales that hosted that championship.
With Cooper. It was Cooper.
It was Cooper. Yeah, Cooper at Mount DeSales. And it was a fantastically ran program. Play VS didn't do anything wrong by asking me to get off. It was just they were going for certain shots. I'm having fun with that because Jonathan tries to get on stage after I pull down after being up there.
And then I had to go tell the other coach to get off, and that was the whole thing.
And it wasn't bad. He had a right to say something, but just guess what? I've been up there for like 3 matches.
Yeah.
So, but my boys, it was so great. Actually, a little into that story. My boys were so great. They go, Nick, stand up. It's okay. We got this. Yeah. I walked off the stage and they did. I was like, okay.
And then honestly, once Pickens won the championship that year, half of the audience left. And
half?
Like hardly
3/4.
Okay, there was like 3/4 of the audience who left. And then
I got up, I said, all right. Where are you going?
Yeah, where'd everybody go?
We saw our boys, and I did. I brought great flashback. That team consisted of tennis player, starting soccer, starting football. And so I had teams, like our entire soccer team came. Half the football team came. Tennis, I mean, I had such a mix. I had parents. I had one of my old professors, one of my co-hosts. She came and somebody goes, so which one's yours kid? She goes, the coach. So
I remember that because she won the headsets or whatever.
Right.
Was given out.
Right.
And she was like, "Oh, my son's the coach."
My son's the coach. Because Tyra and I, we've known each other for 20 some odd years, and she's like my big sister. So it was really, and I'm like, they thought you were my mom. And she goes, no, they think I'm my mom. I mean, you get yelled at. Shout out Tyra, kill us off. Woo! Thank you.
Yeah, so the next game I'll talk about is Splatoon 2. My kids did participate in that last season.
All of 2 teams, right? Of the fall state.
They participated. Play Versus actually sent us 4 switches, 4 copies of the game, and it was 4 switches, 2 controllers, and 4 copies of the game, and then 4 online access so it was pretty nice.
This is real Nick's.
I'm a super coach.
Wait.
Anyway, my kids, they played Splatoon, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically like a paintball game, and you shoot paint at each other, and the goal is to cover the ground with your color paint. That's what you do. So coaching that, it was kind of difficult because Nintendo's online service stinks.
Let's be nice, it is infantile.
Then if you're at school, your IT department could block that online service. It has to be like a certain type. We were Nat B, and I know that worked, but I know that some schools were Nat F, and they were just blocked each time, and then they had to forfeit because we could never connect with them via game day.
Right.
That's a terrible way to have to forfeit. But coaching that game, you got to make them play. Like they just have to play and talk about communication. That's really what a lot of these games come down to is, are they communicating effectively? Like, hey, this person's over here, just killed me. Watch out, they're behind you, like that kind of stuff. And my kids, they weren't really into Splatoon too much, so I don't think we're actually going to play it this upcoming season, but we will use those switches for Super Smash and Mario Kart. Which, Nix, I think you had a more successful Super Smash than I did. So if you want to talk about coaching,
Well, I don't know about successful. We had several teams. A lot of interest in Super Smash Brothers. I had played some of it in the past, but I benefited very much from my assistant coaches for that. Frankie Sparks and Daniel Johnson. They came in and saved my bacon on it because they're ranked players in Smash. They're really good Smash players. And so they kind of had it orchestrated. I orchestrated it at first, and they went along with it, much like a tournament-based style. We would play for position every day until we had to lock rosters. And so we were playing. I forged out of fire my 3 best players. And what we had learned is just like anything else, is getting online and playing ranked games. So few of my guys were playing that. Now they were the best in the school because they were the best of their buddies, but they were no better than anybody else who played the game because all they played with a friend. The other thing I had to learn as a coach was having to break the news to a player that a certain character wasn't just going to work. Just because their favorite player was out there, their favorite character out there was out there, their favorite fighter, didn't mean that was the one they needed to compete with. It wasn't their best. And so I had to break the news to a couple of guys like, hey, yeah, you like Donkey Kong, but your Link is so much better. And, and them having to learn to play with multiple characters to have offsets when they play it against heavier characters and lighter characters and faster characters, medium characters, stuff like that, or projectile-based characters. That was the hardest thing to do, was getting them to understand that it just couldn't be I like to play with Donkey Kong. I like to play with Mario. I like to play with, who was the one that came out lately? It was Joker. And so it's just, or Dark Samus. And yeah. What about you?
I was lazy when it came to Smash. Like, I'm not a fighting game person. I never have been.
Yeah.
I wasn't really much help to my students. I will admit that. Like, they were kind of on their own. And I mean, I had some really good players that kind of like stepped up and help the players who needed improvement. And I would watch them and I would ask questions. But I will say, in my defense, when you're trying to maintain like 8 different games, I'll be honest with you, there's not enough time in the day for me between, teaching full time, going home, cooking, going to the gym, working on a dissertation, working on like stuff like this. There's just, if it's not something that I'm personally interested in, it's very hard for me to like engage with it. And I know that's bad for me to say as a coach, but I'll be honest, like Smash
we're growing too fast. We know it's okay to say we're growing too fast. We went from coaching two games a season, League of Legends, and we'll throw in Smite. I'm not trying to throw any shade on Smite, but it's just not as big. It hasn't had a Georgia regional league yet, so because of lack of participation. But we went from 2 to 3 games to 8 games, and like you said, there's not enough. I don't have enough space to practice that many kids. I mean, so I have like Rocket League Day, League of Legends Day, Smash Day. When we add some of the other games, I don't have enough room. I don't think any school would have enough room to get all that in at once, especially with Mario Kart coming. Because, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the great equalizer when it comes to getting girls to play. And I'm saying this in the most positive way. I am glad that we finally got a game that's going to attract that. It's about time. It's about time. I don't know if I would go in Mario Kart, but I appreciate a game that pulls in a diverse group of players.
And I would say, ideally, like in an ideal sports world, you would have coaches for each of those games that kind of specialized in those games. But a lot of programs, we're flying solo with people who might not even play games, and they're just doing it for the kids. And that's perfectly fine. Like, if you're an esports coach, that doesn't mean that you have to coach. Like, a lot of what you might do is just administrative tasks.
Facilitate.
If you want your kids to get better, just tell them, listen, you got to go on YouTube and you got to watch these players, and that's how you're going to get better. Because I personally don't play this game.
And it's okay to focus where your strengths are. I am known as the Rocket League coach. I mean, that's what my guys talk to me about, and that's what I focus on, because that's where our strengths are. Now am I more now Rocket League and Smash? Yes. Now League of Legends, exactly. Hey guys, get on YouTube. I'm going to practice with you some, but this isn't, I don't know the lore. I don't know the background of the game. So I need you to step up for me and coach Nick's on this. I want to get you everything you need to be successful. You got the best keyboards, the best mice, everything that you can have, but I'm going to need you to work on your own and just be honest with the kids about it. Well, that's it, folks. Thank you so much. We have gone over a lot: the history of esports, the definitions of esports, how to coach, how to build a program. Ashley, you've done it all too. What do you got to say?
I just want to say, like, I know it might be overwhelming at first, and we've like really just scratched the surface because we're trying to keep these episodes short. Like, we'll talk more in detail about funding and toxic behavior and things like that. But just be honest with the kids. Like, if coaching isn't your thing, you're just there to like facilitate. And just try to have as much fun as possible, and remember that we're doing this for the students to provide them with like this great opportunity in this amazing fast growing sport.
Hey guys, look, we're privileged to do it, but also at the same time, remember the Esports Report is going to educate you, but we're also going to entertain you. We're going to be talking about some highlights and actual state championships, games that your guys are playing, and also look at some pro games here on the Esports Report. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is host Will Nix. See you next week. Ashley.
Bye, guys. We hope you enjoyed the content. And as always, please contact us. Like, leave comments down below. If you're listening to this on iTunes, please leave a rating. We are working on improving the audio with each episode. Email us at the esportsreporths@gmail.com, because we want to hear from you. We want to engage with you. We want to know what you want to know about so we can make this for you.
And find us on social media at the Esports Report on Facebook, at the Esports Reports on Instagram. What's our Twitter again?
The Esport Report on Twitter. It's also the Esport Report on Facebook.
Right. So we're there. Find us, like us, subscribe to us, and watch us over and over again. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. That's it.
Bye.